Hi, I'm Phil, and this is my dad's illuminated Christmas house, but it has a problem. Allow me to demonstrate. It is not illuminated! Yes, that's right. The mechanism has disappeared. For one reason or another, at some point in the past, the mechanism inside this illuminated house has disappeared such that the house is no longer illuminated. I said to my dad, some time ago, that I would fix this for him. And it would have been the easiest thing in the world to do to just go to Temu or Wish or Alibaba, AliExpress, Amazon, eBay, just find something similar that I could have shoved in with a bit of glue, Bob's your uncle, done, give it back. But I have two problems with this. Number one, where's the fun in that? And number two, I'm an engineer, and that means I must make things significantly more complicated for myself than they need to be. Thus, we are not just going to put in some simple mechanism. Oh no, allow me to walk you through what we're going to do.
Originally, this house would have had a basic mechanism not too dissimilar to this replacement from AliExpress. A small box with a battery, switch and a bulb stuck into it providing a basic dim glow. It would have been a bulb of course, not an LED. We can do much better though, and I want to provide a gentle flickering effect in orange and red to give the illusion of a roaring fireplace. Thankfully, these flickering LEDs already exist without requiring much extra effort to get them working. I'm going to use 6 of these, 5 yellow and 1 red, because the red is overpowering, and I'm going to use a single super bright white LED to produce some overall level of illuminance such that it doesn't just look like the house is on fire, as fun as that would be. Along with a switch, battery holder and some resistors, our mechanism is complete. And just on those resistors, we're going to use 100 ohms for the flickering LEDs and 15 ohms for the bright LED. This is because two fully charged 1.5 volt batteries in series obviously produce 3.2 volts, and the forward voltages of our flickering LEDs is 2 volts and the bright LED is 3 volts. That means we need to drop 1.2 volts for the flickering LEDs and only 0.2 volts for the bright one, as we determine the required resistance by calculating how many volts are left over from the forward voltage, which is the amount of volts required to activate the LEDs. Using V equals IR rearranged to I equals V over R, we thus calculate 1.2 volts over 100 ohms equals 12 milliamps, and 0.2 volts over 15 ohms equals 13 milliamps. LEDs can generally be illuminated with 1 to 30 milliamps and be bright and happy, but we have a lot of LEDs and we're aiming for battery longevity. The total consumption of this circuit when full is 85 milliamps, and I like to calculate the useful duration of batteries by dividing the total capacity of those batteries by this value, which equates to around 24 hours. They will of course last longer than this, but they will become dimmer and dimmer as they do so. All that's left is to turn this into a pretty circuit diagram, and then prototype the circuit onto a breadboard.
And here's one I made earlier. We have our large white LED and then an array of flickering LEDs here. The negative terminal of the battery connects to the bottom end of these LEDs, the positive end to the top section via this button. And if I press the button, you can see them illuminate. There you go, isn't that wonderful? You probably can't see that in this lighting. Allow me to adjust that for you. And look at that lovely twinkling effect there with very little effort from us, because of course it's built into those LEDs. So all we need to do is shove all of that in here. But in order to hold all of this stuff, we need to 3D print some kind of thing to go in here. So let's go and design that now.
I used a ruler to get the measurements of our orifice and then plugged those numbers into Blender, where I designed a 3D model that I thought would be suitable for the mechanism. I printed the first version on my Anchormake M5 printer to see how it looked and fit the various components, and using that prototype determined that I needed to adjust the size of some holes and add some openings in the diffusing section to let out some more light. And with that printed, it's time to continue.
And here are those 3D prints. First the prototype, and then the real thing. The only real difference here is this one's slightly shorter and it's got holes in it. So, how does this work? We have a big hole here where the battery box is going to live, and next to it we have a small slot where the button is going to poke through, and it will of course live here. On the inside of this area we will glue our LEDs, and we'll hot glue that big white LED here on the middle stalk, so that we can hold it higher up inside this house to give more of an even glow. And then when we're done, this should just slot into the bottom as easily as this. And I don't know about you, but I think that looks pretty tidy. So that means the next step is preparing everything and soldering it together. So I've set up my creation station. We have a silicon mat to do soldering on so I don't ruin the table, some solder to solder the wires together, and of course the wires themselves, and some clippers to cut those wires, and some strippers to strip the wires. We have a flux pen, because flux pens are very important to make sure that we get good contact with everything. A thingamajig, it's literally called a thingamajig, because 2 hands are never enough. We have our 3D print, of course, our breadboard with our circuit already on it, and a printout of the circuit to remind myself exactly how it works. The soldering iron, and of course, just off camera, a glue gun. We all love glue guns. I don't know why. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is get some tails on this switch. Got our flux pen here. Remember, it's important to flux your joints. See, the flux pen helps it flow over that joint really nicely. Okie dokie, so I've made a little hole here to put these wires through. In they go. I'm going to hot glue these in place now. Streak down the middle should be enough. Straight onto the 3D print. Now this button is pretty tight in there, it's pretty wedged, but we'll do our best to glue it in and not glue up the button at the same time. To make sure that's really in, I'm going to put a big blob of hot glue there and a big blob here. Splendid! Now, according to our poorly printed circuit diagram, the positive terminal of our battery connects to the terminal of our switch. Oh dear, it's been dripping flux all over me. That's not the prettiest solder joint, but it is functional, and it's probably as good as a mechanism I would have bought off of Temu. Okay, that's not particularly pretty, but it is our first completed circuit, so we should give it a test. So let's pop our batteries in, we'll press the button, and it lights up. Look at that. Our first light is working. As you can imagine, this is going to get a bit messy with wires by the end of this, but who cares? From the position that we're in now, we're going to tap all of the positive off of this area here and all of the negative onto this area here, as this is going to the switch and the battery as we need them to. I've got 6 more LEDs to wire up. I better get to it. Righty-ho, we've soldered all of our LEDs together. Let's just test them all and make sure they work by touching them against the terminals. That's a nice yellow one. Just to make sure the legs of these can't short circuit together, I'm going to add some heat shrink tubing to them. This stuff is great. If you've never used it before, it just goes over one of your legs like this. And that leg is now completely insulated. All we have to do is use a heat gun like this to heat it up. And that has now shrunk over the leg so it won't come off. So all I have to do now is solder these onto that, and we're pretty much there. To make my life a little bit easier though, I'm going to glue these two things down first. put some hot glue in our stalk. We will wang in our LED. There we go. It's not very pretty, but it works. Well, I mean, it might work. Right, it's all soldered together. It looks like a terrible mess, but does it work? Every single LED is on. I am a genius. I'll now hot glue all of these lights into place, and then we can shove it into the Christmas house. Okay, I think we're done. Let's stick it in and see how it looks. I think that means we're finished. Let's give it the tilt test. Hey! Ta-da! Right, let's turn her on and see how she looks. I don't know about you, but I can't see anything at all. Let's turn the studio lights off. Look, isn't it pretty? I suspect the video quality's dropped somewhat, but that's because the only light in this room now are these lights and this house. But what a house! I'm pretty chuffed about that, and I hope my dad is too. Right, it's time for me to put this in a box and send it off. Now that wiring ended up a little bit messy, but as you saw it worked just fine. We absolutely could have put it all on a little project board and the lighting probably would have been fairly similar, but meh, it's done now and it works, so who cares? If you like what you saw in this video and you want to do something similar, I've left a bunch of affiliate links down for you in the description to buy various things you may have seen in this video. And do let me know in the comments if you've fixed any Christmas related tat for your parents. If you like what you saw, maybe I'll see you again sometime, but until then, good luck, and it's time for me to post this. Merry Christmas. Ta-ta.